Good morning. Oh my goodness, what a morning. Coming to you live from my living room. No idea if anybody's even here, no idea what's going on. I'm using melon, which is not familiar to me at all. Not familiar with med. Oh, good morning, Heather Lynn. Good morning. Look, we've got a lovely picture of these terrible hats behind me. I was hoping to have something lovely like my view, but it's too bright. Can't see anything. Got brightness everywhere. I need to change my location, don't I? I didn't go upstairs. I'm just hanging out here in the living room, looking out the window at this dreary, dreary morning. I didn't even grab my coffee. Where's my camera? There's my camera right there. It's so difficult. I'm not on my iPad or I'm not on my laptop like I normally am. Good morning, Denise. I'm not on my laptop as I usually am. I'm not on StreamYard as I usually am. I'm not upstairs as I usually am. Everything is off kilter this morning. So please bear with me. You have no sun today. We don't either. Even though you see the sun coming in through the window here, it's very overcast, dreary, rainy, windy. I know we're going to have this for a few days like this. So let me tell you what's going on. Let me grab my coffee. Hang on. Watch out now. Watch out, doggy dog. Oh, let me grab what little bit of coffee I have this morning. So I have spent so much time doing lives. Let me make this so you guys, there we go. I have spent so much time doing lives this last month that I ran out of time on StreamYard on the free format. So I used up my 20 hours. So I didn't have anywhere to go other than Melon. Set up Melon this morning, had it all set up where it said coffee chat, had a nice long description about what a morning it's been. And then there was this thing that said, good morning, Gail. There was this thing that said use formatted settings. And so I clicked yes, because I've used StreamYard before, only a couple times, or not StreamYard, Melon, only a couple times. And so when I did it, it said, okay, you're all scheduled and ready to go. And it threw everything from our last time we used it, which was a pinata stuffing. It changed it all. And I spent a half an hour trying to edit it back. It wouldn't let me edit it. Now, I've tried editing it since I actually came into this stream. I'm not sure if it did it or not. I don't know. As I play around, see, I messed with it and it's still showing. It's showing the other one that I started. This is a mess. Nope, nobody's going to show up except the important people. Hello, important people. This isn't even posted. I don't even know if this is even going to be on it where I want it. I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it. I've got my good friends here this morning. I got hubby's coffee cup, and I'm just going to wing this as best I can. I even tried editing in YouTube. No luck. It's just one of those days. It is just one of those days. Hubby's sick, and it just appears to be a head cold. We're crossing our fingers that it's just a head cold. He's not feeling well. Gail, if you try Melon, just know it's not, for me, since I haven't used it very often, it's not as easy to navigate as StreamYard was, and obviously I've made a few mistakes. So everybody's probably over at the other live wondering where I am when, for some reason, when I tried to edit it, it came up with this one. The other stream is sitting there. I know. I was just talking about it, Lisa. As soon as I clicked on to come into this studio and wanted to do something here, it let me edit it. So I edited it. And then now I've got two streams. I needed to leave things alone, like I said. Good morning, Major. My goodness. Evening to you. So I didn't even manage to make it upstairs. I'm sitting here in the window. It looks like it's a nice sunshiny day, but it's not. So everything is messed up because I'm not familiar with Melon. I messed it up. You have a head cold too, Beverly? I'm sorry. I'm really hoping it's just a head cold for hubby. He's got his little Halls cough drops and he went to bed early last night, and I tried convincing him to stay home today and just rest, but he said he has got work to do. He always works. That man, he works with broken bones, and it's very difficult to keep him home if he's not feeling well. So if he stays home, I know he's really not feeling well. Um, Major Papa Jim's just not feeling good. It's not that he's got wallet fatigue or anything. He's just got a little head cold going on. So hoping it doesn't go into his chest or anything further. So I haven't even hugged that man in 3 days. We've just been keeping our distance. I go around, I spray everything down. Good morning, Pam. Yes, we've been pushing the zinc, the vitamin C, some apple cider vinegar tabs, all these lovely fun things. But anyways, every morning Papa Jim gets up and he lets the girls out of the chicken coop, and it's rainy. They won't go far, but we had a break in the rain this morning. I'm going to say around 7:15. I didn't hear anything, but I know something had just freshly happened because there were fresh feathers, and we had a breach in security this morning. And I looked out a window and I saw a bunch of white feathers, what I thought were white feathers. And but they weren't blowing around, so I thought, well, it must be something else, because whatever it is, it's just like down on the ground. So I went out there, put my cowboy boots on because it's muddy, it's yucky out there, and went out there, and sure enough, one of my barred rocks, there's just feathers. Something snatched her real quick and ran off with her. um I don't know, maybe whatever attacked her, maybe she lost a lot of feathers and she was able to manage to run back in the coop. I haven't checked because it started raining again and everybody's hunkered down in the coop, and it gets a little crowded in there, and everybody was already in a panic. So I'm hoping it's just a bunch of feathers. I'm hoping it's not a true loss. I hunkered down things as best I could this morning, closed one of the gates, but I suspect we might have a fox on the loose. Yeah, so, and I feel bad because I did write Papa Jim, and I told him this morning, I haven't heard back from him, that we had a breach in security and we had a predator attack. And I think we lost a Betty. But, he lets them out in the morning. I don't want him to feel bad that he let them out in the morning when we had this. So for the last 2 weekends minimum, I've told Papa Jim when the weekend comes around, I really, really, really want to reconfigure my chicken run. I've got ideas, I've got things I want to do, want to make it a little more secure for them, a little easier for feeding and watering. I love what we did this last year, but I need to make some changes. And so I've wanted to do this the last 2 weekends. Well, after the last 2 weekends, it's been bitterly cold and rainy and windy, and we haven't been able to go out there, and now he's sick. So probably won't be doing it this weekend either. And so that really limits my options to what I can do with all of my coop kids. So I'm going to set some traps out tonight. I don't believe it was a raccoon because it was in the daylight. And whatever it was quick. A raccoon will usually attack and eat right there. Whatever this was, it's gone. And it wasn't the eagles. So I'm thinking it might be a fox. I'm looking a hot mess, but thank you. I didn't have time. I actually was outside in the chicken run in the cold this morning and then the rain. And I managed to get inside just in time to jump in the shower and blow dry my hair. Throw on a nice cozy sweater and not even make it upstairs. I've got 2 traps out there, Gail, but they're not set at the moment, but they will be set tonight. And people may not agree with me, um, but I know that I live out in the country and I live out where the animals live. And this is their environment. We've encroached on their environment. And I understand the circle of life and how nature works. I also understand I have an obligation to keep my coop kids safe, and I failed them this morning by leaving a gate open so they could go to the orchard. And so I've closed that. They're in their run. But when we do get an animal, we relocate them. Nothing here is destroyed. because this is their natural habitat. They're doing what comes to them by nature. And even if I've experienced a loss, I don't want to take the life of another thing to counteract that loss. We load them up whenever we catch. Um, Good morning, AKA Bread Company. Welcome in. Yeah, oh no, it's not the squirrels. It's not the squirrels. It might have been a weasel, but usually a weasel will take care of my chicken right then and there, and then you just find a chicken with no head. This was something else. I believe it must have been a fox, or if it was, who knows? I've got feathers but no body, so it's either been carried off or she got away, and maybe she's hunkered down in the coop. It's dark in there right now. It's stormy. It's rainy, and I'll do a head count later. I'll go in when everybody has settled down because everybody was in a tither. Um, when everybody settles down, I'll go in. I'll do a head count if I can. Sometimes they're just kind of all. Hello, Dancing with Daisies. Good morning. The link for the stream is in the other live chat. That's so, thank you, Lisa. Thank you for doing that for me. I appreciate that. No, wasn't making a pillow. So one of my barred rocks, we'll see, maybe she got away. There's been times before where I've heard a scuffle outside, and I'll look outside and there will be a hawk. I looked outside one day and there were two chickens, I thought, fighting, screaming, fluffing, rolling around on the ground. Thought they were fighting. And I opened the window. I said, "Hey!" And the chicken that was, winning the battle just looked right up at me like as if to say, "There's nothing here for you to see." And it was a hawk, big hawk. Had one of my girls. Oh my goodness, have you seen those videos of the women just like running outside half dressed, screaming like a banshee? That was me. I screamed at that hawk. I ran outside, let my girl go, and it was trying to fly off with her. It really was trying, but she was too heavy for it. And I got it to go away. He took off, and my chickie, she just shook it off. She had a little bit of blood coming out of her nose, but she got up and just kind of walked off back to the coop, and she was fine. So I know it's not a hawk because a hawk, they're too big for the hawks to carry off, but I think it might be a fox. How many do I have? Owl, if it is overcast. You know what, Lisa? Very true. It could have very well been an owl. It could. I do have fake owls up and around. I don't know if that would deter them or not, but it could have been an owl. Right now, I have approximately 30 chickens. I have 5 turkeys. We've not seen our wild turkey lately. She hasn't been back in a few days. And we have 7 guinea fowl. You're down to 11 hens, Gail, and 1 rooster. I've got the two roosters. But the thing is I didn't even hear anything this morning. I didn't hear a peep out of those chickens. I was wondering if it could have been one of the eagles, but not where it's located. They would have had to fly somewhere and then walk in around. And an eagle can only carry approximately 2 pounds to carry and fly off with something. And the chickens, I think, are too big for an eagle to actually fly off. I'm not seeing them here today. I didn't hear them. I didn't see them. There's no evidence of the eagles at all. This is something that, from what I'm seeing and what I'm gathering, just snatched and ran off with it real quick. I don't know that an owl would have been able to even carry her off. She was, my barred rocks are pretty big right now, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's nothing I could do about it at the moment other than to do a head count in a little bit and see if maybe, sometimes they'll just release their feathers, kind of like how a lizard will let go of its tail. I'm just hoping that there was a scuffle and she lost some feathers and she was able to make it back in. But I didn't hear the roosters defending her, nothing. So whatever it was quick. Good morning, CB. Good morning. Good morning, Ann Dale. Welcome in. Thank you to Lisa for posting the correct link because I flubbed up this morning. Because I've just had one of those mornings. I'm cold because I've been out in the rain, but I did manage to get a sweater on. And when we're done here, I will be putting the cowboy boots back on and running back out there. Um, Throwing them a little more feed. I threw them something to just kind of occupy them, keep them calm. And I'm going to be taking some measurements even though it's raining, because in my mind, I've really got to figure out how I want to reconfigure things. And poor Papa Jim, it hasn't even been a full year since the last time I asked him to reconfigure things. Thankfully, we've got things that are easily movable. It's not a structure that has to be completely demolished and redone. It's something that I can do easily. It wasn't Papa Jim, no. So, and good morning, Tiny Tim. Welcome in. So we've just had quite the morning here this morning. I'm really I try not to let things like this get to me, but it's funny that I was probably up till 2 in the morning watching different YouTubers, watching different setups, trying to learn a little bit more about some of the setups and things I want to implement for my coop. I love the coop I have for my girls. I love that I can open the window. I've got the window in my summer kitchen on a little pulley system, and I could just open that window and reach into 2 of the nesting boxes and grab eggs if I need them. But that leaves several other nesting boxes that I don't have access to, so I still have to go into the actual coop. I want to reconfigure it so that I don't have to actually go into the coop. I want to fix the interior of the coop a little bit so it's a little bit more user friendly for the birds. Um, I'm limited in what I can do there because Picklesworth, he lives with them too, so I have to make sure it's good for him. So, I've got all of these different little animals living in one spot, and I have to take all of their needs into consideration. And then I've got the broody hospital in there. I got my little chicken hospital in there, and if somebody gets broody or if somebody gets injured, they go into the chicken hospital, and I'm gonna have to put that somewhere else. In the meantime, can you secure a tarp over it? No, no. The run is far too large for a tarp. So I've closed the gate, and it's raining, so they're pretty much in there now, but the only thing I could do right now is lock them all in right now, and I don't know if that's what I need to do at this stage. I'll go back out there, spend a little more time out there. I've let the dogs out. I opened one of the side gates so they can get into the orchard so they can scare off whatever's out there. But the dogs didn't even alert me that something was going on. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I want to know if it's a hen or the rooster who killed my hen. Oh, you know, um, last year I was so disappointed because you guys know I love Joey, my turkey. Love Joey, and I don't know if I had shared this with you guys before, but we had just set the run up last year and had all of the fresh mulch down in their little patio set with their umbrella, and everything was so cute out there. We'd worked so hard on it last summer, and I think it was a Saturday morning, and we'd gone out to feed them, and I walked around the corner. They were all just mulling around with me. Walked around the corner to turn on the water and walk back around, and there's Joey with one of my barred rocks, and he broke her neck. They weren't fighting over any food. He just walked up and pecked at her and just simply broke her neck. And she was just laying there dead. 5 seconds. I really just had gone around the corner and come back. And so, I'm walking out the gate with a chicken in my arm, and Papa Jim's like, oh, and it's like, she's not resting. She's gone. And I just cried and cried because Joey's such a sweet turkey. He really is the sweetest thing. And I don't think he meant to kill her, but he pecked at her and just down she went. Let the dogs urinate out there helps. We walk Diesel down by the animals a lot. Not 100%, but it's a deterrent. Yeah, I've got the orchard. I've got a gate where I let the man to fill our tank for our propane tank is back there. So I left that open. The bigger girls have been out there already this morning nosing around. But I'm just really surprised they didn't alert me to anything. Both of my nesting boxes, oh, I lost it, can be opened from the outside. I'm looking at changing the location of my nesting box. I'm going to be making a lot of changes. I'm going to be making changes for their water, changes for their feed, changes for the nesting box location. Um, right now, some of the things are very easy for when we have winter and we have 4 or 5 foot snowdrift. So, I have to take that into consideration as well. Oh, good morning, Marlene. Good morning. Good morning, Kate. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. It's kind of nice that even though I've kind of had a cruddy morning, got all my friends showing up. That's so wonderful. So I'll be making some changes. We've been wanting to make changes for the last couple of weeks, anyways, also because of the avian flu. So I need to make some changes. Tons and tons and tons of eggs from my girls and my I had a friend the other day say, "Oh, you need to go ahead and get those out there and sell them. Advertise that you got eggs." It's like, I'm not going to tell everybody and their neighbor where a flock is located because I don't want somebody feeling the need to tell the Department of Natural Resources that they were driving down my road and there were chickens running around, because I don't want them showing up to test my chickens and possibly saying, because they free range, and we've got X many cases around you, they might have to be destroyed. I'm not going to put myself out there for it. Good morning, Nisi. Good morning. So, I hope my hen's okay too. Like I said, I'm really trying to not let this get to me this morning. But I definitely see some changes coming with regards to water, feed, nesting boxes, and security. Not necessarily in that order. Security will be first and foremost. I just have to hope that Papa Jim feels well enough this weekend to help me get some things going. Um, if not, I might have my son come out, but I've got some plans for them. In other news, what's happening in other news? In other news, I've got beans soaking, so I'm going to be making a lot of diabetic friendly barbecue beans this morning, trying some new sugar substitute. Still have molasses in it, but at least the brown sugar will be a substitute for me to try. So that's what's on my agenda for today. Is I'm going to be um, making some barbecued beans and getting those in the pantry. I'm really thrilled about that. Oh yes, beans. I think I must have, no kidding, 20 or 30 pounds of beans in my long-term pantry in different various locations in different buckets. And I've got plenty of beans. And I've been telling myself for a while, I need to make some baked beans, barbecue beans, get those on the shelf with my Fiesta beans. And I can't have a lot of beans because of the diabetes. But I was at the store the other day and I brought home 15 more pounds of beans. So I told myself today was the day. I'm going to make some beans. So I've got my little electric canner ready. I soaked some beans overnight and we're going to do a couple batches of barbecue beans today. Um, Tomorrow I'll be having the crochet along. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Hopefully I'll have a little bit of time left on Melon. They don't give you as much time as StreamYard. So I'll be able to go live for that in the morning. For those of you who are doing the crochet along, I hope you were able to go to the tutorial. Just practice the stitch. I know I didn't give full details for doing a second row, but just I want you to practice the one stitch. Oh my word, that's a lot of beans. I have a ton of beans, but I don't like them and beans hate me. I just figure it's a good source of protein and they're inexpensive and I put them away for a rainy day, but I'm also going to be canning some as well. Because you know what? If the poopy hits the fan and I have limited cooking resources, I don't want to cook beans for hours and hours and hours. I want to have something that I can heat up in 10 minutes and get in my family's belly in case. Um, I mean, I have alternative methods for cooking in case we lose power or in case we find ourselves in a situation where I have to cook out in the summer kitchen or something. But for the beans, I want to open up a can and pop them in. And I'll let the boys eat them if I have to. They can all be dueling tummies. That's why I have them for desperate times, but you won't want to be near me if I have to eat them. They make me so sick. I'm sorry, Lisa. Have you, I'm sure you have, but have you tried when you prepare them, putting a little bit of baking soda in with them? It's supposed to help. My mother-in-law did that all the time. Anytime she made beans, she'd put like a quarter of a teaspoon of baking soda in when she was, doing refried beans or whatever. And she always swore that that helped the tummy. But I'm working on all of my pantry stuff. Lisa has seen my pantry, and I keep telling her I'm trying to organize it. And I'm one of those people where I move this and then I move that, and then I've got 20 things to move. And right now, my pantry is, I can't get in there. There's so much stuff. Um, I'm sorry, Lisa, that they wreak havoc on your system. It's tough. It's tough. But I know that in a long-term situation, if I need them, I've got them. I was sharing with a friend the other day who lives in Texas. I showed her my pantry. I said, I think I've got issues. I think I have food security issues from when I was a kid growing up poor. And there were times that we were really hungry. And then growing up raising four boys and always living paycheck to paycheck and wanting to make sure I had what I needed. Because I still have a really bad habit. What do you guys do? Do you do this? Um, I still have a habit of when I grocery shop for a family of six, even though it's just the two of us. Not a bad thing to have them for a rainy day. Once I figure out more room for my prepper pantry, then dry beans are on my list as well as canning some. That's great, Marlene. Hello, Willow Way Ranch. Welcome into our live this morning. We're just sitting here talking about chickens and prepping beans for canning today. That's something that I'll be doing. And we're talking about our crochet along we're doing tomorrow. Yeah, buy whatever you can get these days, absolutely. So my pantry is more and more. I tell you what, I made something fun last night. I'm going to do a video on it. I don't know when I'm going to do a video on it because I made so much of it yesterday. I won't be making it again for a little while. But I did something fun with a packet of beans that I picked up the other day. And I bought four more packets of it. But you know those 15 bean packets? I made something fun with those 15 bean, a bag of those 15 beans. And that cooked all day yesterday in my slow cooker. And Papa Jim really liked what I made with it. But now I've got probably 3 quarts, maybe almost 4 quarts in the fridge. We're going to have to eat that up. You don't like beans either, Niecy? Well, sometimes you just pull out the pantry what you can pull out the pantry. My mom always taught me to have a full pantry just in case. This came for her growing up without food. It is definitely a great idea to have extra. When all the shortages happened, I didn't run out. Absolutely. Um, we did not suffer at all during the shortages, and we all know we've got more coming up. I remember, um, and I've shared this before, but it's so important that we all listen to each other and take heed. Because I remember 2 years ago when my son who was very tuned into things, would call me and say, Mom, you need to do this, you need to do this, and you need to do that. And I was like, whatever, you're so strange. Sometimes he would call me with things and show me things and send me things. It's like, do you guys remember the movie A Beautiful Mind, where he just kind of went a little crazy with like conspiracy stuff? And his wife goes out in the garage and there's all of these maps and strings and connecting things. My son is kind of like that. And he would call me every once in a while, say, Mom, you need to do this, you need to do that. I was like, okay, son, sure. But you know what? Everything he's told me, everything he has warned me about, he's got his finger on the pulse of it. And so I started listening. And then I started sharing with my inner circle. And this was before I actually had YouTube to share with my YouTube friends. But I remember telling a friend of mine, you need to make sure that you get ingredients for baking your breads and having your recipes written down where you can access them in case we don't have internet. And you need to get all that gathered up. And she said, well, my husband works at a store, so they have a bakery. I'm not worried about it. I can get bread anytime I want. I said, okay, as long as you feel you've got it taken care of. Beans freeze well, says Beverly. And yes, beans have gone up, so that's why when I got a good deal on them, I grabbed a whole bunch of them. So she said everything was fine. Well, then our store shelves went bare out here in rural America where we don't have big stores. The big stores get serviced first, and these little county and country stores, we get the scraps of what the bigger areas get. And there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing to be had. And she called me and she was, practically in tears and frantic. And she said, there's no bread and there's nothing to bake bread. And her husband was at the store and they had baked a loaf of bread the day before and had cut off an end that got burnt. And they were going to throw it away. And he brought that home so they could have that with their dinner. And it's like, I told you, things were going to get very lean here. We're out in the middle of nowhere. Things were getting lean. And then I had another friend who, she's a Vietnam vet, and I check in on her every once in a while. And she said, I don't know what I'm going to do. She goes, I went to our little store and the shelves are bare. She goes, I couldn't even find yeast to bake any bread. Well, I had gone into a bigger town later that day and I found hidden, people were starting to put things behind things. And now the shelves are so bare in some of our little places that like the jelly, there's only one row of jelly that's not stacked all the way back. Um, I had found two of the three envelopes of yeast. So I bought those two and I went out to her little farm and I told her to come out. And I had set the yeast on the tailgate of her truck because this is when we were all, 20 feet away from each other, not risking anything. So this was 2 years ago. And I said, I found something for you. And she went over and she picked it up. And I'm not exaggerating. I know you guys know I like to tell my stories and I love to romanticize and things like that. But I'm not kidding when I tell you that this woman in her 60s, close to 70, she took those three little envelopes of yeast and she held them to her face and she cried. She cried. She wept. She was so happy to have yeast to bake some bread to go with the eggs that the chickens were giving her. She cried. And it really impacted me because she's been through some hard times in her life. She knows. She knows. Good morning, Laura. Um, so I'm hoping that those couple of people, they were listening. Next time I tell them something, you need to listen. So I just shared with some friends just in the last couple of days. Iowa is the #1 producer of eggs for the United States, and Iowa is being hit very, very hard right now with the virus for their chickens, and a lot of them have had to be euthanized. Um, Good morning, Doing Better with Mariah. Welcome in. So I'm telling you that even right here where we have all of these chicken farms, when I was in the store the other day, eggs are up over $3.50 a dozen where I was. So there's going to be an impact on eggs. So if you're seeing a decent price for eggs, get a few dozen, they'll stay in the fridge. Get a few dozen, you can hard boil some, you can make some egg salad sandwiches, but get some eggs if you need eggs right now. You can crack them into ice cube trays and freeze them, and that way if you need them for baking later, you can have them. I have my chickens, so I have my eggs, and what I've been doing lately is every day I make a whole buttload of chaffles, and I got this cute little griddle. It's about that big around, and it makes a perfect size little egg, like an egg McMuffin little disc of egg. I just scramble it up, I put it in there, and it just like this little patty. And I just make a whole bunch of them, and I'm sticking them in the freezer, and then I can take them out, warm them up, and I can have them for breakfast. So pay attention to what eggs are going to be doing. Get yourself some eggs if you need to get some eggs now, because I don't know how quickly they'll be recovering from this. So I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but I'm at the stage right now after, we've had to prepare anyways living on a farm. You had a hard time finding yeast, but no more. I found out yeast freezes well too. Yes. Trying to find local stores for eggs. That's wonderful, Beverly. Yes. My parents, being depression and Arab and poor, raised us eating anything, beans, grains, cornbread, etc. So blessed to has taught us to survive. My grandmother is such an interesting story, and I'll have to share it in full detail at some point. My grandmother was, I want to say this delicately. There's really no way to say it delicately, and I have to be so careful. My grandmother was married off by her mother at the age of 14 to a traveling salesman. So at the age of 14, my grandmother was pawned off to a traveling salesman. She had her first baby at 15. She had her second baby at 16. By the time she was 17, that man had left her and returned to his other family that he had in another state. So my grandmother was 17 years of age with two babies in Depression time. And she had to really learn how to make ends meet, how to stretch things, what to do to raise those two babies on her own. So I grew up with a parent who grew up in Depression era, and he used to tell stories, and my grandmother used to tell stories all the time of things that they did and what they lived through. And one of them was at one point my dad had a slingshot or something. He made a slingshot, and there was a pigeon in a barn wherever it is they were living. And he shot the pigeon with the slingshot. He picked up a little pebble. And then he felt so terrible for doing that because he's an empath. He was an empath as well. And he went to his mother crying. And he said he felt so bad and he knew he was going to be in big trouble. But she said, "Oh, good grief. No, you're not in trouble at all. You take that slingshot back down there and you get as many as you can get." And so my father used that slingshot to get the pigeons out of the rafters, and that's what they ate. They ate the pigeons. It was their source of meat at that time when things were so lean. Um, so, he grew up on hard times, which really then, but then you know how things are generational, right? And it passes on. I mean, my dad plinked pigeons out of the rafters to eat. And then when I was growing up, we were so poor. And I know I've shared this with you guys before. There was a time I came home from school and my mother had this big, beautiful roast with potatoes and carrots. We never had meat growing up. I mean, it was very rare. It was very rare. And oh, there was this big, beautiful roast. And I remember we had it for dinner. It was so delicious. I loved it. And it's all I could think about the next day at school. So I told myself the next day, as soon as I get off the bus, I'm going to run home and I'm going to make a really nice roast beef sandwich with a couple slices of bread, butter, pepper, salt, and some roast beef. And I got home and I took the roast out of the oven and I'm picking at it while I'm making my sandwich, and there was something wrong with it. Tasted weird, tasted funny. And I thought, man, it's already gone bad. I'm just gonna have to toss it. I'm just getting ready to dump the whole thing into the trash. And my mother comes around the corner. She's like, "No, don't do that. Don't throw it away." And I told her, I said, "It's bad. It tastes funny." She goes, "It's not bad. It just tastes different." Well, I had learned that while I was at school the day before, my my father and another man that lived on the property we were staying on, they'd come across a deer that had been hit. Who knows how long it'd been laying there? Like the Beverly Hillbillies, they just, scooped it up and dressed it out. And they didn't know how to dress out a big buck, but they did. So it was venison, which is very gamey, and the fat content and everything is different. And so it was venison. And so we ate roadkill that night when I came home from school that day. And then I think that was the last time well, no, see, I can't even use the word intentionally. That was the last time I ate venison. I've been offered venison since then, but no, no, even when I ate meat before I became a vegetarian, I didn't eat venison again. I did have some beef jerky one time at school in the seventh grade. Somebody gave me some homemade beef jerky, and it was so fatty that it coated the roof of my mouth with the yucky stuff, and it was venison beef jerky. So once I learned that, I never had beef jerky from that kid again. Good times, got to do what you got to do sometimes. I know, I know. Um, so I grew up eating roadkill. My dad grew up eating the pigeons. And my grandmother, she used to visit sometimes, and I would, let's make some mashed potatoes. And I would peel the mashed potatoes, and she just about threatened to get a switch out of the tree and beat me within an inch of my life if I didn't do something with those potato peels. Don't you dare throw those potato peels away. I was like, "Grandma, they're no good." She goes, "You fry those up and we eat them. Nothing goes to waste." So it was very ingrained in her. So we had it with our boys when our boys were little. We went through a really lean time. I mean, really lean. Um, we had changed where we lived. We had changed, Papa Jim had changed employment. We were waiting for the first paycheck to come in. Things were lean. What's the matter, Harley? And things were so lean that we were literally to the point. Now, luckily, we had found an apartment. We had been living in our car. We had found an apartment that came with all of the appliances, but all we had, with two babies in the house, all we had was a bowl of mayonnaise in the fridge. And my oldest was 3, and he'd toddle over to the fridge and pull the door open and dip his finger in and get mayonnaise. That's all we had. So we had times, oh, I see a squirrel. We had times where things were so lean, and I swear I'd never let things get that lean again. So once we got established again, and he never got that paycheck, luckily there was a church that helped us get through that hard time. But he never depended on a certain person ever again. It was always, he made sure that he had what he needed for his family. And I made sure that I had a well-stocked pantry, even if it was just beans or a whole bucket load of macaroni and cheese for those kids or whatever I needed. Um, I'm trying to think, it was before that, before we hit the mayonnaise low, before we had moved, we, we'd gone to the store and we had just enough money to get our groceries. Always, I mean, I had it down to the penny, what we could afford, what budget friendly meals I could make, and to make sure that I had just enough milk for the babies because I had two babies on bottles. And they were off the formula, but on the milk. And we got home from grocery shopping and it's like, where's the milk? He goes, didn't you grab the milk? No, I didn't grab the milk. Didn't you grab the milk? We left the milk on the bottom of the cart. We got so tuned in to putting the two babies in the car and it was nighttime and getting the groceries in the car, we forgot the milk. And the store was only, a mile away, and we drove back there as fast as we could to see if the milk was still there, and it wasn't. And we checked inside, did anybody turn in the milk? And they didn't. And so my babies went without milk that week. And I got creative. I would go to gas stations. I would go to um, diners, and I would get the little things of creamer, and I would dilute it down and put it in their bottle, and that's what they had. Okay, bye, Laura. Deer meat needs to be soaked in salt water. It takes out the gamey tasty. Yeah, they didn't know. They just field dressed it right there on the side of the road, I guess. But so I mean, I've had my lean time. So now I have like this really weird food insecurity. So when I go shopping, I still buy a bunch of food as if I'm still shopping for 6 people with, Jim and I and the 4 boys when they were little. What's the matter, Harley Boo? Um, but needless to say, I have a well-stocked pantry now. I can't eat half of it, but it's there. And Papa Jim had asked me, gosh, it was well over a year ago. He says, do we really need 14 jars of peanut butter? We don't need 14 jars of peanut butter, but we've got grandbabies, and those grandbabies might need those 14 jars of peanut butter. So I've got 14 jars of peanut butter always stashed away so that if those grandbabies need it, they've got it. So, but that's what I'm doing today is I'm going to be fortifying the pantry with even more beans and getting those going and really working on some good thoughts for what I'm going to do for my chickens and their run and Mr. Pigglesworth and the ducks and just different things I need to do for their whole situation. In other news, we've got we just had a video release yesterday, and I know it wasn't as long as some were hoping, but we took that $1 auction find and we are turning it into a floating lettuce garden in the kitchen. So I kind of took you guys through the stages of all of my boys talking about how they were best going to set this up for an indoor salad bar, and until we got it in the house and did some things. There'll be more videos coming up as soon as my laptop's working, showing about how we're planting the seeds. The seedlings are up. We're doing it a little different. Some we did in the rock wool. Some we just did with a wicking system with just the clay pebbles. What is that noise? Oh, it's that dog. Um, but the seedlings are up and they're under the lights, and I'm so excited to see how this salad bar comes together. And it's neat because Lisa is doing a fantastic job with Cracky, and we do have 8 containers of Cracky going right now, and there might be more by the end of the day because I've got more seedlings that came up. But this floating bed it's a deep water culture and it floats on the top. And so, yes, Jim's bar, but it's a salad bar. Um, you love that video, Marlene? I'm so glad. It's so neat. I've got more stuff coming up for it. I'm very thrilled about it. Um, it's going to be neat to see it all comes together. Peanut butter needs to be alternated from top to bottom so it doesn't separate. Jeff turns ours upside down one month, then turns it right up the next month. If that makes it, it does, especially if you have the natural peanut butter, because the oils all go to the top. And and Willow Ray Ranch won't know, but since I became diagnosed with diabetic, I've switched to the natural peanut butter for myself. And I go in every other day or so because I've got my peanut butters and then I turn it over. And I'm always rotating things in that pantry so much the peanut butter gets turned over all the time. We lived in a school bus when I was young. We got down to eating free overripe bananas and day old bread sandwiches with mayo for a short time till Dad found a new job. Oh, Tim, I can relate. I can relate. All right, 2-second coffee break. Grab your coffee. We'll talk about those lean times. My little blind dog needs to get down off the couch before he jumps, and I'm going to let the big dog out to go scare off game. Come on, baby. Mama's coming. Oh, gosh, you're so heavy. You're so heavy, little dog. You want out? No, you don't get to go out. You stay. You go out. All right, she's off chasing those dastardly squirrels. Jeff is on an insulin pump, so you know, yes. So I grew up for a time, Tim, in an Airstream trailer. There were 5 of us in an Airstream trailer. Oh my gosh, these are some of my stories that I need to get out there. I forget where the camera is on this thing. We lived in an Airstream. I don't remember how long it was. I want to say 28 foot maybe. My mom, my dad, they slept in this center part of the Airstream that had a bed that would fold down. It was like a couch that would turn down into a bed. Then my sister and I lived in the front of the Airstream, and it had a couch that would turn down into a bed. And then, because my parents, they were saints, they really were, God bless them. Whenever anybody needed help, they were there. And there was this woman who needed help. She needed a place to stay. I don't know how long she lived with us. Her name was Mary. She weighed 500 pounds if she weighed an ounce. So in that trailer, mother, father, I think I was 11, my sister was 7, and 500-pound Mary. And where did Mary sleep? She slept on that couch with us. We were like this. 500 pounds. I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating that. I don't know how much she weighed. She was a very large woman. She was such a large woman, and I'm a big girl. I mean, I'm not throwing shade at anybody. Um, she had to go somewhere one time. And so Jim offered Papa, I was dating Papa Jim at the time, so I was 14, 15. So she was still with us at 14, 15. So she was with us for several years. And she had to go somewhere, and Papa Jim wanted to give her a ride. He was willing to give her a ride in his dad's truck, not his truck, his dad's truck. And she reached up and grabbed the top of the door, the truck door, to hoist herself up into the truck. And I'm not kidding when I tell you she bent it on the hinges. She literally bent the door. We couldn't get it to shut right. I see my guineas are alerting. friends. Oh my God, it's a skunk, guys. It's a skunk. Hang on. I got a skunk in my chicken yard. You're seeing it live. You're hearing it live. Friends, it's a BB gun. It's just a little BB gun. I'm going to have to go. Not only is there a skunk in the chicken yard, and I thought if I just plink him, he'll run on, but then I thought if I plink him, he might spray me. This is an old house. Oh, God help me. I don't know who I'm going to call. Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh my God, no, 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 no. Oh my God, my dog's gonna get sprayed by a skunk. May, come here right now. Oh my God. May, no. Have you been sprayed? All right, friends, time to get out the tomato juice. I told you this was not going to be a boring morning. Have you been sprayed? Stay away from me. Annie Oakley got my gun. I planked that little guy in the butt a couple times. I didn't kill him. I won't kill him. But I wonder if that's what got my chicken this morning was a skunk. Old Flower from Bambi hanging out. Did you get sprayed? Oh, my dog got sprayed. Oh, oh, my dog got. I'm going to have to change the, I gotta go. They will eat chickens, Beverly. Oh, oh my God. I gotta go. I'm going to have to wash some dogs with tomato juice now or something. Oh, honey, get out of my house. Oh my God, you guys. Oh, no. Now she's rubbing it all over her dog bed. Never a dull moment here, guys. Never a dull moment. Oh, I'll talk to you all later. Um, have a blessed day. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. I'm glad you're here with me for this little bit of excitement. Not only does it smell like skunk, it smells like burnt skunk. I know, new video. Bye, friends. I appreciate all of you so much. I'll talk to you soon. I got to figure out how to get out of the stream now. Oh. Bye.